how pretty. All right, ready?
All right, so we're here with Carsoll. It's their new 10-inch for the 2011 to 2004 Jeep Wranglers. I know Alpines came out with a radio that's about a 9-inch, which is actually still pretty good, but this is their 10-inch, 10.1, and it's a full touchscreen. So we're gonna do the unboxing. We'll go through a couple of tutorials. After we get it installed, we'll show the pictures on that and show all the different apps and features that this radio has. It also does include for the whole backup system, which most Jeep owners know it's kind of a pain to see past that rear tire back there, especially if you have kids with the JKU, the 4-door, you know, you have your car seat in the middle, so this will actually help. So we're gonna do an unboxing. You see, pretty wrapped up, pretty nice. We already cut the tape, but it comes really well, at least taped up package. You can see foam on the top to keep everything in. The bubble wrap on here, it looks like it's pretty well packaged. It looks like it's pretty stable with this. So we're gonna open up. And this is the center gauge, to where you have all your instrument clusters, your speedometer, and so on and so forth. You can see your hole for your vents. And it looks like it's actually pretty nice design. Seems pretty stable, doesn't look like it'll flex too well. And then the center brace, which we'll end up cutting out because that's where the actual gauges go. It's just to help support for that packaging so it doesn't collapse, which is good because if anybody's dealt with most shippers, they tend to throw boxes. So it's good that it's nice and stable so you don't have to worry about anything cracking. So looks like it'll actually bolt in pretty well and snap in. We'll show along the installation along with that. Here's your nice little center console cup. You can put your keys in there, whatever it may be. Looks like this one's actually a bit deeper than the original, which is good because if you have anything, especially when you're off-roading, you don't want it to jump out and then end up somewhere in your Jeep. So it looks like it's nice and deep, built pretty well. So that'll be a good addition. And then onto our actual 10-inch. Here's a 10.1-inch screen. You can see it's got a nice little protective screening over it right now to prevent this from actually getting scratched. Power, home, volume buttons, so it looks like it's pretty open to actually use. And it's got a mic, which will be good for the Bluetooth interaction. You get your, of course, your window switches if you have those electronic windows, and then also for your vents, so that looks good. And it looks like it's actually a pretty sturdy unit. Doesn't look like it's gonna break while you're off-roading, which will be good. I know that's a big concern. So we'll see when this gets installed, see all the different features, and go from there. Supposedly this model, they have a few different models. This one has the Wi-Fi, the navigation, and also has a couple different apps, including, I believe, the mirror link, but we'll show further in the actual review installation and seeing all the different features later to see all that it has. Now, as you can see in here, it does come with a nice little wire harness. This is just plug and play. So you don't have to worry about splicing anything in or worrying about which wire goes to which. It's pretty much just plug it into the back and then plug it into your actual stock harness. Now, it does have an extra harness. This is if you have an Alpine or the Infinity upgrade. If you've upgraded any kind of the audio to those, you can use this. It says, "Dear customer, please kindly note for this cable, use only if you have Infinity Alpine radio." So if you're ended up upgrading, that's what you'll end up using for the wire harness. So it's nice. Also, as you can see in here, it comes with user's manual and the foam that's actually prepackaged. It looks like it's pretty stable. Everything in there was pretty tight in there, so you didn't have to worry about moving around, it breaking anything. So we'll go ahead, we'll start the install, removing the dash and everything, and we'll actually show the video of the review on the different apps and different features that this radio holds. So with any radio install, anything you want to do electrically, you always disconnect the battery. Now with that, if the battery's off for a long time, you always lose your presets. It's annoying. So the biggest thing that I like to do is go through each preset, write down each radio station. That way it's easier to find. Now, the fact that the Jeep that we're installing in, a lot of the radio signals had static, so the ones that are important were already written down. So you always want to make sure if you're ever having the battery disconnected for a long time, you write them down. That way it's easier to just reprogram than spending hours of just trying to search the radio again. Also with that, since we're changing out the head unit, biggest thing, you want to push that whole CD eject, make sure there's nothing in there. Because once power is disconnected from here, it's a pain to try and get power back here to actually get that CD out. So you want to make sure you hit it once, make sure nothing's in there, good to go. Time we're not worried about because we got to reset it anyways. And then we'll go ahead, turn off the actual Jeep, disconnect the battery. That way we can allow that voltage to be withdrawn so we're not electrocuting ourselves or blowing a fuse. Definitely don't want to blow a fuse or electrocute ourselves. So we'll go over to the battery and disconnect that real quick. You can see, nice little battery. We have the Optima red top. I prefer it. You can choose whatever battery you want. So you're gonna end up using 10 millimeter on those actual sockets, right? So you can take them out. But with that, what I always have been trained and always usually do is you always want to disconnect your positive first before disconnecting your negative. The reason being is because you don't want to become the ground. You don't want all that voltage to discharge into you and you end up getting electrocuted. So go ahead, disconnect our positive real quick. Nice and loose. Just wiggle that sucker off. All right, so the positive, you disconnect, you wiggle it off, move it off to the side. Now I'm not gonna touch the negative because really we're not worried about this battery discharging since our positive is disconnected. So that way we don't have to worry about any electrical shocks going through. So when you leave the negative, reduces our time for installs and then go through there. Now with that, when we're dealing with these panels can get scored a lot. You've seen it to where people have just kind of jammed stuff in there. Now, nice little tool you can pick up from like AutoZone, O'Reilly's, whatever auto parts store. This is actually used to remove the nice little button clips you see on your grill. Now when you use this, since it does have that nice little thin edge, we can get inside a panel lift. Now considering this is aluminum, you can actually score panels. So what you want to do is take electrical tape and just put it over the edge and come over this edge over here to where you're not actually scoring anything or causing any damage to your panels. So we're gonna end up taping that up and then we're gonna start getting into the actual panels and start removing the AC vents first and then start taking the rest of the panels off so we can actually start installing our new radio. So. All right, so this nice little tool, you know, as you can see, this is from Snap-on. You can probably get it from different places, Harbor Freight. This is called a cotter pin remover. This is what we're gonna use to get actually inside this vent. There's a nice little hole in here that'll allow you to rotate and then pull these vents out. Now, there has been different aspects. People have used small flathead screwdrivers to get in there, so on and so forth. But I've found this tool to be effective to get into tight places to where normal, like especially my hands, can't actually get in there, pull that tab down to be able to rotate. So we're gonna get in there real quick, find where this hole lines up so we can actually rotate and then end up pulling. From what I've seen other people that have removed these vents, it's about a 45-degree angle. In here, there's a hole at the very top now, which if you just stick your finger in one of these two bigger vents, you can see one side's all nice and flush, the other side has this nice little hole. That's where you're gonna be getting into to actually pull that little tab down so you can rotate this out. So, you can pause it. So, as you can see, we have it at about a 45-degree angle. It's at the very top. It's over, if you look where it says Jeep, it's by the P. There's a little hole in there. Reach up in there. All you do is, with this tool, you're gonna stick it in and rotate to the actual passenger side. You can see it rotates freely. You can go ahead and pull that out, and then this whole thing just slides out. As you can see here, that's that nice little tab that I was talking about. So as this comes up in here, I'm able to actually push down on that to get it to come free. So when we rotate and just pull out, then we have our nice little vent, nice and open. We're gonna do that to all three. As you've seen earlier, because of the new dash and our actual new console, we gotta replace everything up coming up front. So we're gonna go ahead, take the other two out, and then come back with actually pulling these panels out and showing you how we're gonna trim and fit the actual gauge console so it looks like it's factory. It sits nice and smooth, it's all seamless, it looks like one dash panel. So, before you actually remove this whole plastic piece, of course, you want to disconnect your window switch. So now that these are removed, you can actually reach back here, kind of wiggle it forward and pop it. Now, with that, in here, there's a little red tab that holds that actual cam plug in there. That's another reason why I carry this on. So you want to get in there, and you're just gonna push it up and out. You can see it. You're gonna push it up so it releases this connector. So as you kind of pull that up and out of the way, you're gonna end up pushing on the tab in the back, and it'll come straight out. So as I get my hand in there, you hear that nice little click, boom, done. Nice and easy, pulls out. You have connector free. As you can see in here, a little bit better picture of that red tab. This is on majority of the connectors for these Jeeps and possibly for all Dodges. Just a safety connector. So if this ever breaks or tends to come loose, this connector is not going to come off. So it's good. You don't want any shortage going through these wires. So it's a great design. It's a pain to work with sometimes, but it works really well for these. So as you can see, once this is off, it exposed another screw right down in the middle, which you're going to have to take out. So as we pulled the screw out of the top here of your actual console, which is a nice little rubber piece that sits over it, all it does is just cover a nice little rubber guard, allows you to keep your stuff in there so it doesn't move around. You're going to set that off to the side. I've already taken the screw out of the top, so we're going to take this screw so we're not damaging anything. So as same with the top, it is a 7mm socket. I only have the deep well. It doesn't matter if you use a deep or short. The 1/4" drive works great. That way you're not over tightening when you put these in back together. So nice and easy. We're going to remove this screw and the actual faceplate will come off. The great thing is, like, you want to make sure everything's off, and if there's any kind of binding while you're removing these panels, you don't want to force it. You don't want to snap them. All it is just basic plastic. So stick that screw in the cup holder. Right now it's our parts and tool holder. Has a dual function, right? So take that screw off, the screw out of the top's off. So we're just going to kind of wiggle this thing loose, kind of pry around, making sure everything comes off. All right, so just kind of wiggling around, feeling it out, making sure everything comes loose, nice and easy. You can see there's an interior trim that actually connects to your other side. That's why the new one comes with both sides. So just want to feel around, get some openings, just kind of pull it loose. You can see here, starting to come loose already on the dash end too, which is great. Now the biggest thing is you pull, that centerpiece comes over your steering wheel. So the biggest thing you want to do, lower that steering wheel so you're not snapping anything. Would hate for you to try and pry on this and break it. But since we're free to run the radio, we're going to start making sure there are no screws underneath this actual panel, because you don't want to pry and end up snapping anything, or worse, snapping up one of the other panels that you're going to be keeping inside the Jeep. So we'll take a look at the actual replacement, see what kind of screws are in there, see what kind of panels we're going to have to take off to get to those screws. From what it looks like, we're just going to have to remove the actual panel right underneath the steering wheel, make sure to free up underneath there so we're not actually yanking any screws out, which should be quite easy and simple. So we'll grab our nice little handy dandy tool. As you can see, it's got that electrical tape so we don't damage anything. We're just going to go along the edges and start pulling up little sections, preferably not bowing anything. If you see something starting to bow and it's not wanting to let go, you want to stop, because you don't want to break anything inside this panel. It'd be bad if you actually broke the panel you're keeping inside your Jeep, because these panels are not really that cheap. So you'll work your way around the inside, making sure you free up the panel so you can check to see if any screws. Now also with this Jeep also had a click on it due to that whole AC heater blend door actuator. We will be replacing that later in a different video. So we'll take this panel off for the install. We're going to leave it off so we can actually get back in there and replace that actual simple little part that's about 20-25 bucks depending on where you get it at. So you replace it, get rid of that annoying tick. As also common on most Dodges, Challengers, Chargers. It's just a simple blend door, and we'll have a different video on that actually later down the road. So we've already removed the panel. It's nice and open. And what we thought before, yep, there are two screws. As we've seen in the newer one had two nice little tabs that came down with holes indicating screws. So as you can see right here, there's one screw here to the right of your steering wheel, and then one on the same side over on the left hand, same area. So we'll remove those screws, go ahead and take them out so we can free up this panel. especially you don't want to yank on anything. You always want to lay at the panel going in, seeing if there's any kind of different attachments. So you're not snapping original panels, you're not snapping panels that you're keeping in. Plus also, if we want to revert back to having the stock radio in here, we still have the original panels, there's no damage to them, so they can be reused. So if you ever decide to trade your Jeep in and you want to keep that nice radio, you can always put the originals back in. And of course, if it's damaged, you're going to be buying new ones if you want to keep the original back. So taking those screws up, we'll put them in the back cup holder so we can actually remember where they actually went. And we'll go ahead and continue pulling this out nice and easy. See how free that came out? So this is the whole panel itself. It comes as one full single unit. You can see it actually, you can separate these if needed, but it's a little bit more of a pain, and it is actually molded partially through everything. So the new one is going to fit nice and easy right back over our actual gauge, and then we'll go ahead and install the new radio in. But first, before any of that, of course, you got to take the old one out. You can see the stock radio in here. It's just got simple 4 bolts. We'll take those out, slide it out so we can get back behind it and free up that wire harness. So we're going to put the actual console in the back for now. If you don't have a full JKU, if you just have the regular 2-door, you don't want to throw that panel in the back. When you put it in the garage, put it on something nice, a towel that you're not using, or not straight on concrete with dirt. You don't want to scratch it up, especially if you're going to end up reusing it. So we'll go ahead, take these 4 screws out real quick. We're going to set these off to the side in that nice little spot underneath the e-brake, just in case we actually have to utilize those again. And what I like to do is, when I'm removing anything, especially with a lot of screws in it, if you're doing major maintenance, you want to make sure you put them in a sandwich bag, right on them with a simple little Sharpie where they went. Now, since we're not going to be mostly utilizing most of these screws again, we're going to put them in a sandwich bag and label them radio for this, just in case if we ever do go back to the original radio, we still have all the hardware with it. So what's really nice about the new one going in from Carsoll is it's a plug and play. So you don't have to worry about snipping radio wires or anything, or looking into a diagram to see which one went to the left speaker or right rear. So this is a simple plug and play. So we'll go ahead, we're gonna pull this out. It's got nice little tabs in here to hold it in, nice and steady. So it should be just a simple little pull. Go ahead, pause it. So you just wanna go ahead, wiggle it a little, pull it out. It does have tabs in here for the original radio, as you can see. Nice little tabs that hold this radio in. Reason being is because you don't want the back end of this flopping up and down while you're off-roading, causing strain here. Now with our new radio, it's not just based off this little plastic. As you can see, it's not very strong. It's a weaker plastic. Our new radio is more built into the console, so it holds weight, is very well mounted, so we don't have to worry about while we're off-roading, that back end's bouncing around and we're gonna end up breaking something. Now, if you really want to reinforce, you can do a custom mounting in the back to help support everything. But the way that radio looks like it's built, it will support everything. So when you're back here, you do want to disconnect your harness, which is right here. Simple little push pin, boom, comes out. And then you're actually dealing with your antenna. Now, the antenna, as you can see, most older car radios that people have dealt with is a simple little slide in. Now, this is a different connector just because of how this vehicle was built. Our new one actually has an adapter to where you can just slide right in. We don't have to worry about changing anything. Everything will mount up just perfectly, look like original in the back. Just a simple plug and play. So we'll go ahead and put this radio in the back, and then we're gonna start pulling the new console over, center console, and seeing what we need to trim and cut out so we can set everything in. Looks nice and smooth, a seamless finish for our customer. So we've cut the center brace out. You can use a Dremel for it. You just gotta be careful coming along where it actually mounts. You wanna trim along there and then use a Dremel with a sanding disc or little sanding roll. You wanna take it down to like a level 10, nice and smooth, nothing fast. So you can nicely come along these curves and make sure it's nice and smooth. You don't have anything protruding. So when it fits on, it looks real nice and clean. You also wanna clean up the backside because that's what's actually gonna be pretty much flush up against your gauge. So go ahead, we're just gonna mock this in real quick because these clips, we're gonna have to get off the actual old one, which I'll show here in a second. So we can pull it off and then install them on this so it fits nice and in, snug. So we're just doing a test fit, making sure everything goes in. You wanna make sure, again, steering wheel is all the way down. That way you don't run into any issues. So we'll start from the top and kind of work our way in, making sure all the clips go into the little slots that it's supposed to. You can see it's not too bad. Of course, with dealing with any new plastic, you want to go along, make sure you're all in your spots. We got pulled down a little just so it fits. Nice to where that bolt goes back in, or that screw, and then nice and easy. So we're just checking for seams and kind of holes along our actual dash area, so it looks like that seamless fit like it was original. So you can see everything's lined up. Our holes are lined up for our actual screws, so we can put those in later after we get the actual clips on, and it looks like a pretty seamless look going along it. It fits really nice and flush like the factory did. Coming and checking along the edges, pretty much you want to look anywhere it's going to be visible to the eye, especially when perfectionists, so look for a lot of the seams. So you want to check, of course, again along the center of this. As you can see here, it's pretty nice and smooth seam. Doesn't look like it's actually a full separate panel like it really is. So you want to check along here, making sure it looks the same, has that nice seamless look and fit to where everything goes back together. It looks seamless, it looks factory the way it's supposed to, especially when we have that new radio in. It looks like it was a factory look, like it came from Fiat or Jeep. Like it was supposed to have that 10.1 inch radio in here. So we're gonna go ahead and pull the clips off. It looks like it fits all nice and smooth, which is great. We'll pull these little clips off on this factory one. Put back here, these nice little factory clips. Dealt with them a lot, especially putting it in the new grill. So we use that cotter pin puller, come along, and all you're gonna do is just pull up on these little tabs, and be careful, these are plastic, not metal. So you don't wanna pry too hard, you'll end up breaking them. Put a little pressure on it, and then work the other side where it comes nice and smooth. So you just wanna work your way around it, nice and easy. Pull these little clips off, which can be a pain because you want to take your time. So you can see here, that's that nice little clip. It's got a little bit of overspray, it looks like, from when they originally put the radio in or wherever happened at the factory. So we'll just transpire it over to our new one and simple little push on, boom, done. Clips in. We'll do that to every single one of these over here on the actual gauge. When we install, it'll fit nice and flush, and then we can actually put the screws in, then we'll start on the actual radio portion. So again, line up our top, make sure all our little slots are going in nice and smooth. And you hear that nice little click, confirm that, yep, they're going into the spot they need to. So we're gonna work it again, around a little, making sure everything fits nice and smooth where it's supposed to, so it looks like a seamless finish. So making sure all our clips went into where they were supposed to. Give it a nice little push. That way everything's clicked in and secure. So as you can see now, nice and secure in there, good to go. So grab our nice little socket, line up grabbing these two screws. Now the biggest thing with any kind of screw bolt not ideal with, I want to go ahead and end up hand threading it in first, not using a ratchet end on it. That way I know I'm not cross-threading. So put this one nice and smooth. As you can see, you can tell I'm actually going in really nice and easy, which is great. Line up our other one. We'll just hand thread that in. Get them in pretty much all the way, which is gonna be good because that way I know I'm not binding on anything. Hand thread's even better. And then I'll touch it off with a nice little tighten down. Now the biggest reason why I use a 1/4 inch instead of using like a 3/8 or anything like that, that ratchet size, is you want to make sure you're not over tightening. So use my fingers and just kind of put a nice little snug where it's nice and tight to where I can't really go anymore. I don't want to yank on it, otherwise I'm going to put stress on this panel and crack it. Either that or too much stress while this Jeep's off-roading cause that extra stress to crack. So as it goes in nice and smooth, tight, you can see, give it a nice little tug. Alright, so we went ahead and pre-connected most of the wires. You can see this is still hanging out. This actually goes back and plugs into the back of the radio here for your new actual install. So like we were talking about earlier, simple plug and play. You want to push it in, make sure it connects, and then you're going to plug it into your little actual simulator box, and this will be determining most of your information coming off your controls, which is nice. So great plug-in, great plug-in. It's pretty straightforward and simple on that part. But as we've noticed with the radio, the actual antenna is different than what's compared to a normal one. So usually back in the day, this is the normal input you'd see for radio. So this comes with a nice little adapter, and it'll actually plug into here to change it over so we can plug it straight in. So when we do that, I'm gonna go ahead and plug it on the actual car side so I can start tucking this wire down in there. So when I put it in and install, it'll actually flush, be in there, and not be caught up with anything. So for right now, just for the simple test, we're gonna have it out and plug it into the back. Now, if you notice this nice little antenna here, thinking, okay, well, what is the antenna for? So this is actually for your Wi-Fi. This is one of the actual head units that actually has Wi-Fi. You can connect to your Wi-Fi at your house. So if you're updating apps or anything like that, as long as you're near a Wi-Fi or using a hotspot on your phone, you can bounce it off there and actually update, install apps, anything that you need to do with the actual radio. So above it, right here, kind of a little blue connector, is this nice little wire harness over here, which actually connects to an antenna. This antenna is for your GPS, which is really nice. A lot of times you use your phone as a mirror link using that kind of GPS. So we'll see how the GPS is on this. Use that nice little antenna. The reason why we've left it off for now is because we're just going to power it on and see how everything runs. Make sure the head unit actually turns on, which will be a big aspect, because you don't want to do an install, put everything in, plug it, put your battery back together, and all of a sudden, hey, it doesn't work. So you got to pull everything back off. So you do want to do a quick little install of just installing this CAN plug, and we're going to install the radio to see if we still get signal, and making sure the head unit turns on, and we at least go to the AM FM area to get the basic radio signal, pretty much. So we'll go ahead, we're going to connect it and connect the battery up real quick, make sure it turns on, and then we're going to pull it back off so we can route our wires for not only our GPS, also running for our USB, which is this nice little cable. As you can see, it's got two. It's got one, they're actually, everything's labeled, which is really nice. This one says USB, and then one says phone link. So phone link, if you don't use the Bluetooth function on this, you can actually just straight connect, which some people don't like using a Bluetooth, which is nice. It has that secondary option to where you can connect your phone directly to it through that hardwire. So we'll connect the gray CAN plug or the connector up, and then go over to the battery, put that on, and turn this head unit on. Make sure everything at least turns on. Alright, so we kind of just placed it up there. Well, it's not stable in the fact that I can go driving right now. Just in there right now, just to hold it up so we can get the basic features. So we're gonna go ahead, turn it on, wait for everything to power up at least, and then bada boom, hit the power button. So I'm gonna start the Jeep. You can see a nice little Jeep logo. It's fancy. So this is our 10.1. Pretty much this is all they do is the bigger screen, which is nice if you're looking for a basic. So we'll let it warm up and go through its basic startup. Alright, so we're gonna just go on to power up, turn on to on. Then we're gonna hit this nice little power button, let everything come up. So seeing right off the bat, it already recognized the doors. So jumps on turn on location, may use sources like GPS, Wi-Fi, mobile networks, sign about how it's making sure it's using the GPS to locate where this head unit is. So you can use that GPS factor or wherever you want to drive, so you're using the maps. Right now, of course, we don't have the GPS actually used, so it says turn location on. We'll actually be able to go into the settings and redo that, but for right now, we're going to go to agree, so we're not having to go back through it. In previous version of Android, you turned off access to your location for all Google Wi-Fi. Turn it back on. Yes. So it's turning back on, so we can use the Wi-Fi in aspects. Now you can see the screen is massive compared to the normal 7-inch that you usually can buy from like Kenwood, so on and so forth. Or you can use that 9-point. This is a full 10.1 inches. So from screen to screen is 10.1. It's fully usable, as you can see. It's got nice little power buttons on the side, your volume, the back, home, and then your actual mic. So we're gonna go ahead, as you can see right here, door closed, nice little pop-up saying, hey, our passenger side's still open. So as I look, open it up, letting us know, we're actually gonna open up the rear door. It'll notify us, rear door's open. So it's really great to when you have one of those nice little signs saying, hey, door, don't know which one, it's actually showing you which door is actually open, which is really remarkable. So we're gonna go into a little bit and go into like the music, video, Bluetooth when we actually get this installed and in. But for right now, we're just making sure everything powers on. So we're gonna go basic radio, turn down the volume a bit. So you can see it goes through the presets are in there. We can change time, change the clock and everything, which is good. I mean, everybody can. But nice little features. You have alarms on here. So if you're ever needing to leave for a certain time, saying, hey, I need to make sure I leave for my appointment. If I'm driving along, set an alarm so the alarm will go off. It also has stopwatch, timer. So whatever you may be doing, saying, hey, I want to see how long it takes me to go up a trail. So hit start, boom, it's already running through its timer, saying we can time how long it's taking us up to go up, you know, one of the Jeep trails, or one of our famous other trails throughout the states. You can actually time yourself. Now with that, as you can see here, we're in the actual clock area. We can go to clock, we can adjust this depending on what world time. We can actually change all that, which is really nice. Go to home, we have our different options over here. The amplifier, so we mess around with where all our speakers are at, whether we want to do an actual driver's side, which is really great. So you measure your distance from wherever your speakers are at and adjust it to each one, so you're getting that clear sound. So most of the time, if we're over by ourselves, that driver aspect's really going to be great. Or if it's just a two-door Jeep, you can adjust it to where it's only the front two are getting it, or we can adjust the rear to where we hear the rear speakers louder or quieter if it's only just you for a lot of times, or you and just another passenger. So you can also go to the different users and go along and adjust everything to what you need. Now a little bit more going in depth, if you're dealing with, if you really are definitely into tuning your sound system the way you want, which is really great, you can go through and adjust everything, so which is even better. Go through, and this is our app side. You can see we have the app installer, which you can go through Google. This has Google Chrome installed, and as you can see, it's a pretty seamless touch screen, which is great. Right now it may not be as responsive because we still do have that protective screen, which we want to keep on until everything is done, because we don't want to ruin anything. We don't want to scratch this out during the final install. Now here's a really great feature. Most of the time when you're driving, you have people that cut you off, which is really annoying, or people that really get into your tail end. You can actually record this whole DVR portion in this. You can record your cameras if you have a front or rear camera installed, and you can record things that are happening. So if you ever get in a car accident, you replay this and actually be able to bring it to court. So we've routed, this Jeep didn't come stock with a backup camera, so we went ahead, we routed a new one already for our actual backup camera. There'll be a later video on that actual full install. But what we did is we came along the top and came along down the pillar behind the actual airbag console side. The reason being is because we do have a light bar installed. Power wires are on the left side or the driver's side. So you want to avoid going along with your actual power wires or that 12 voltage for your switches, just so you don't get any static in your video lines. You also do that with audio. The reason why we went up along the top and came along the bar is because Jeeps tend to go off-roading. You tend to take them through the water, the dirt, the mud, and everything. So we want that connector to be as safe as possible, not down along the floor to where water may be getting in if you do happen to go through rivers or whatever you may be doing with the Jeep. Also with that, we routed our wonderful GPS line. Now with the Jeeps, they're very unique. They come with soft tops and hard tops, right? So usually you would put a GPS signal on your roof on a regular vehicle. Since the Jeep has a soft top installed, or we maybe switch over to hard top, wherever the customer's case may be, and whatever suits you, we just install it up along inside the pillar. Reason being is it's its highest point. We may get a little bit of interference. We may have to find a different spot for it, but for now it's mounted up there, out of the way, route the wire along with our actual video cable, and comes out through our radio end. So with that, we have the wires all routed through, ready to go, and we're just going to do the basic plug and play like we were doing before. So with this, it does have a nice little RCA output section to where you can put video out, video in, so on and so forth. So your video out is more if you have a rear view or rear cameras mounted, or rear monitors mounted on the back of your headrest, or if you have a mounted monitor for up in the middle for your kids in the back, whether this is for a Jeep, a truck, a car, whatever it may be, it does have the different aspect. So as you can see here, all of them are labeled already, which is easy, identifiable. What you really want to notice is video out and your video in, front out, so on and so forth. This also includes most of your subwoofers and your audios. So the one thing we're looking for is that Rev V. So that's your reverse video. So we went ahead, pulled the cap off that, so this is exposed. So all it is just a simple plug and play. Just plug it in, boom, you're done. You don't have to worry about anything else. So now that we have that connected, we're going to kind of push it in there so all the rest of the cables just hang freely in there. And we're going to go ahead, connect up our actual GPS line. I'll make sure this is aligned. Just snaps right in, right? Boom. So now we're getting ready to actually put this thing in. As you saw before, when the actual install for testing, it went in pretty smooth. It's going to do the same for when you actually do the install for this. So the one thing you do want to make sure is you're plugging your actual RCA cables into the correct spot. And if you look at the top of the radio, it does have a mapping of where everything goes. So it's a simple plug and play. Plug it in, and we're ready to get rock and roll there. So go ahead and slowly bring this back in, making sure we're not hitting anything. We're not going to be running into any issues. So we want a top view so we can see exactly where everything's lining up. So as you can see, get our clips lined up. So all we got to do is just push back and it'll be ready to go. So we want to make sure we're not running into any issues along the way. So we'll kind of start from the bottom, pushing everything in, making sure it flush sits, making sure all that lines up. And it looks like we're actually going in pretty smooth, which is really great. So you don't want any hang up or hassles. The biggest thing, since we did replace this side, is we want to make sure this lines up too. So any kind of connectors in there, any kind of little slits, everything lines up. So it looks like we might actually have to reline our box up here, which is fine. We had enough cable movement where we can address minor things, which is good. You always want to make sure you have that room to minor adjust any different kind of components. So coming in, making sure everything lines up. Pause it. Oh. We're going to go ahead and put the new one in. First, of course, we're going to see how it fits, how it looks. Make sure everything fits in nice and snug. And the seams pretty much are seamless, right? So going along and just pushing down, making sure everything clicks into place. So sometimes you will have a little aspect where nothing wants to really fit well, and especially with aftermarket parts, tend to have problems with that. But so far this install, everything has come together really nice. So it's really good. It'll look great, especially now it's the bigger screen. I'm already kind of just wanting to play with that. But I want to finish this so we enjoy the full capacity of what this audio system has to offer. So we're going to go ahead, put our final screw back in the top. And of course, like with everything, hand thread, I'm just going to go ahead and tighten it down. Now already looking at this, it looks like it's much deeper than what it was originally, which is awesome. I know a lot of times you'll throw keys, phones, whatever it may be. You always want to worry about them like falling out and having them fly them anywhere inside your cabin, which wouldn't be that great. So now that that's down and smooth, we're gonna just stick our rubber piece back in there. It's got a nice little lip, so you can tell exactly where it goes. And it definitely looks like it sits deeper than the original. So that's really great. So next, before you're throwing your vents back in, always want to remember, connect your power window back up. Now, it's just gonna be a simple plug and play, right? Boom. Don't forget that red clip. You're gonna just go ahead and push that back down and fit that back in, nice and smooth. Now we're gonna actually fit our radios back in. Now it looks like it's the same, exactly how it was on the original. So the install of this was really great. And of course, everything goes back to original. So we're just gonna put our vents back in, quick and easy. You wanna make sure you're putting everything in correctly. Don't try and force anything, it'd be bad, especially since you just spent all this time putting everything together. You don't wanna break it. So make sure everything clicks into place, give them a nice little tug, making sure it's not coming out. We'll give a nice little tug on everything, make sure it's nice and smooth and in there. So you don't want to yank it back out of position. You're just giving a nice little tug to make sure it's nice and smooth. Now, looking at this, it is pretty well seamless back to how it was original. You can definitely tell it is not original, just for the simple fact Jeeps didn't come with a 10.1. So it's really great that everything went back together smoothly and it looks amazing. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna turn it back on. 3, 2. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead, as you can see, it's all nice and flush, everything's in, it looks seamless, it looks great. So we still have the protective coating on. We'll go ahead and peel that off after we get the rest of everything in. Which next is the actual bolts. So from before, it's pretty much just a reverse installation. We're gonna go ahead and put our bottom one in. Go ahead and start, of course, hand thread first. And then I'm gonna go ahead and tighten it down. Making sure it is snug. You don't want to crank on it. You don't want to snap plastic, especially your brand new plastic that you just put in. So this does have that USB. Since the user does have an iPhone, which is, we ended up using the iPhone adapter. Now you can go different aspects, whether you have Samsung, whatever it may be, just use a regular power cable, whatever came in, you route that USB cable. We did ours through the bottom, so it'll be a little bit cleaner install once we tuck the rest, because the user's primarily going to be putting his or her phone up front. So wherever it may be, you can do a cleaner install on wherever your phone's just going to sit, since you no longer are going to be using it as much. So now that this is all in, we're going to go ahead and put that top back in, that nice new one that looked deeper. It looked like it would sit a lot better. So we're gonna grab that real quick, throw it in. Right, so we're gonna go ahead, power it up. You can see both doors are open.
So amazing that millions of people a year are getting their cap.
Mute that real quick. Now, the fun part. Peel that off. So we're gonna power it off real quick. And then let's go ahead and wipe everything down so we get a nice clean look. Boom. Easy to power on, easy to power off. And it looks amazing. So here on our actual radio, if you go to home, tap on that radio, then you can actually scroll through your different radios. So turn it down a little. You can choose, you can set all your presets in, you can change anything you want on this. This is pretty remarkable. We can hit search if we're looking for presets or what all is available. So it's great, it's gonna go through everything, making sure we can find every radio signal that we need. So far this setup was pretty easy. Little hiccups here and there of just trying to figure out if we didn't need to remove certain screws, but other than that, the install was great, and the actual function of this radio is amazing. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna connect phone in and see what kind of apps we can actually get from there and see what source or what all we can do with it. So Z-Link, it's connecting right now. And boom, look at that.